Here are some practical evidence-based strategies to reduce those blood sugar spikes and improve your insulin sensitivity. And by the way, if you listen to the end, I'll go over whether or not you even need to worry about glucose spikes. So number one is to walk after meals. Now, the sooner, the better. Trust the science, folks. Too many people think it's okay because you don't have time to exercise. You're too tired and that you're doing fine. Are you really? Yeah, that's not what I've been seeing in society. And common sense, I'm sure, tells you there's something wrong because the wealthiest nation on earth, America, doesn't seem to care if our friends or family is living long. So what does the science show us? Well, when you walk after you eat, that will significantly lower your blood sugars for the entire duration of digesting that meal. And that is even more beneficial than walking before you eat or not moving at all. And it's kind of common sense, right? Your body is like a running river, or it could be like a stagnant pond. And do you want your blood to be like a dirty, stagnant pond collecting toxins? Or do you want to be a running river and have fresh nutrients and oxygens delivered to your cells and get your cells to clear those toxins and run as efficiently as possible? You don't have to tell me the answer. You can just tell yourself. You and I have blood that doesn't circulate unless we're moving our muscles. Take a look at your veins. They're blue. And as you age, if you're having more blue veins pop up, you're getting more stagnant blood. And the only way to get them circulating is if you move those muscles in those extremities, or if you're actually pushing your veins up and down all the way back to your heart, like getting massage. But unfortunately, you can only massage the outside of your body. You can't really get deep into your tissue like your intestines. Or can you? Stick around, and towards the end, I'm going to tell you how you can massage your intestines. So let's go back to moving. The sooner you move from your last bite, the greater the effect. Even 10 to 15 minutes of light walking works. But if you make that over 45 minutes, you'll get the most consistent benefits. And if you're living in a heat wave like I am today, just stay at home, do squats, do leg lifts. Number two is to pay attention to your food order. And it's really helpful to eat your vegetables first and eat your carbs last. So I hope that on your plate, you're actually eating vegetables. 9 out of 10 Americans don't do that. And if you are, you're 1 out of 10 that's getting a lot of benefits. And those benefits include lowering your sugars. So just by changing your food order and eating the high fiber salad first, by the way, your iceberg lettuce salad is not high in fiber. But if you upgrade your vegetables, and if you start eating your vegetables first, there's actually over 10 studies that show that you will get benefits in reducing your blood sugars. Now, VPC, that sounds like a stock, but no, it's vegetables, proteins, and then carbs. That's the order in which you should eat your macronutrients. And that will prevent your carbohydrates from surging into your blood, which can help you prevent those glucose spikes. Lower blood sugars means that you lose weight. And if you upgrade the quality of your carbs and eat whole food carbs wrapped in this original fiber matrix, then that means you're getting natural plants, not eating plant parts and pieces like when you eat white bread or white noodles or white rice. But if you eat whole food, then you'll not only lower your blood sugars, but you'll also power your immune system and metabolism. So let's think about why this works. Well, when you basically eat your carbs last, you're slowing down how quickly your stomach empties the food that you eat. Now, you could do this through chewing slowly too. And I highly advise people stop wolfing on their food like your pet dog. I mean, that's just a choking hazard, but it also increases how fast your stomach empties and dumps that food. So basically, slowing down how fast your intestines absorb the sugar is very helpful. Because if you don't surge sugar in your bloodstream, then you don't surge insulin in your blood either. So that is your food order. And this helps in patients with prediabetes, as well as diabetes, as well as just everybody. Everybody should be doing this. This science, folks, has been repeated several times. Number three is to upgrade your food quality. Pick better foods to eat, folks. You deserve it. Don't eat foods made out of parts and pieces of whole foods. like we're extracting nutrients like protein powders or whey or, sugar. These are really chemicals that we call nutrients. But who eats nutrients? Nutrients are designed in a lab, folks. Your great-grandparents didn't eat nutrients. They ate whole food, right? And sure, people can live on nutrients. I mean, let's say, people with medical problems, right? So I give them all the time, but those people, they're not healthy, right? Healthy people chew their food. So if you can chew your food, chew it. Because one day you may not be healthy and you may need that. But at that point, you're not going to be thriving, right? That's trying to keep you alive. Hopefully it's a temporary bridge so when you can eat. But for some people, it's not. Why do you want to speed that up? It makes no sense to me why people want to eat medical grade food when they can chew and use their tongue and mouth and teeth, right? We're supposed to exercise all these. These are all muscles that need exercising. Swallowing our foods whole or, like liquid stuff bypasses all these facial muscles. And we're wondering why all these kids need to use orthotics because we're not, actually doing what we're supposed to do is chew our food to then shape our facial muscles and massage our teeth and gums and all that good stuff. And as well as change our oral microbiome so that it's beneficial for us, so that works with us as opposed to against us to give us cavities and gum disease. I mean, there's a reason why we have all these things, folks. It's not just because we're not brushing our teeth. It's because we're eating the wrong food and we're not brushing our teeth, right? That's one of my pet peeves. We confuse nutrients with food. And if you just choose whole foods, and of course stick to lower glycemic index whole food carbohydrates with fiber, especially soluble fiber, you will tremendously lower your blood sugars. So swapping your refined white rice, white grains, and starches with legumes and non-starchy vegetables will reduce your post-meal blood sugars. And fiber is a key component of that. So when you eat whole food, you get fibers, at least whole foods and plants. And when you eat fiber, it lowers your mortality, lowers your risk of getting diabetes, lowers your insulin spikes, right? And lowers cardiovascular disease, which is still the number one reason why people don't make it. Soluble fiber specifically is helpful to reduce hemoglobin A1C and your fasting blood sugars. So that is how you can massage your intestines. And you can get soluble fiber by adding some flax seeds and oats and chia seeds to any meal. You can add fruit to your meals. That's another reason why eating vegetables and fruits are beneficial before you eat other foods. And by the way, if you find values in my videos, would you mind checking if you're subscribed? And if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, like button, and share button, because it does change how many people get to watch my videos. I appreciate your partnership in helping to change the world. Now, number 4 is to reduce your total carbohydrate load per meal. Simply eating fewer carbohydrates when you eat is one of the most straightforward strategies to blunt sugar spikes. But that doesn't mean go on a ketogenic diet, and it doesn't even mean go on a low-carb diet. That means you got to make sure you're not overeating rice, bread, pasta, potatoes in each meal. These are not helpful foods if you want to control your blood sugars. However, if you're not eating whole grains, I'm not saying eating a lot, but eating enough, you will be missing a lot of phytonutrients and fiber that interact with your immunity and are beneficial for your metabolism. Now, number 5 is to add some vinegar with all your meals. Vinegar contains acetic acid that helps to lower your blood sugars with your meals by activating an enzyme called AMP kinase. That's very beneficial to lower blood sugars. And number 6, exercise in the morning before you eat. When you're fasting, that increases your insulin sensitivity because it activates your muscle, your largest glucose sink. The more muscles you activate, the more it's going to be beneficial for your blood sugars. And just working out before you actually eat calories will improve your insulin sensitivity and help you get rid of glucose faster and prevent those insulin spikes. And then you can exercise after you eat too. So how many of you eat calories before you exercise? Or if you do exercise, you think that it's okay not to move after you eat, right? Do you want to just summon your car or take an elevator or maybe insta order your groceries? right? So if you actually moved, shopped, go walk in the parking lot, right? You can actually increase your insulin sensitivity. And they actually studied this in overweight men, and they found that if they exercised before they ate breakfast, as opposed to after they ate breakfast, they actually increased their oral glucose insulin sensitivity. They upregulated their skeletal muscle GLUT4 and they enhanced their intramuscular lipid utilization. That means they got rid of their fat in their muscles. And all of these improve their insulin sensitivity. So that means it's just important to move all the time. Both resistance training and aerobic exercise will improve your insulin sensitivity. But before, I only appreciated the aerobic exercise, jogging and walking. But the evidence actually points out that resistance training, along with high intensity training, it produce even better effects. If you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you. Now, number 7 is to lose fat, specifically visceral fat, the fat that you can't pinch, the fat that's trapped around your organs. And most of that fat can be lost if you lose weight properly, right? Weight loss is actually the single most reliable way to improve insulin sensitivity. And when you lose weight, you're either losing muscle or fat or water. Hopefully you don't have edema, so you're not losing water. And hopefully you're not losing muscle. That is if you don't move. So if you're going to go on a weight loss diet, focus on losing fat. And that means you get up and you get yourself moving the first thing when you get up before you eat any food. It's super important to reduce that visceral fat. You have to lose weight. That means you have to reduce the amount of calories that you're eating. So any kind of caloric deficit can help you lose weight. But if you get insulin sensitive faster, you'll lose weight faster. Now, some people do time restricted eating. Some people just change the quality of their food and they go on a Mediterranean diet. Or they, fast from carbohydrates. They're not all equal in longevity, folks. So if you don't pick the right diet, you may actually be decreasing your longevity, even though you're increasing your weight loss, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of unhealthy people lose a ton of weight. And when you lose weight really fast, you're also losing muscle weight. Don't lose muscle. It takes too much effort to build that. But lose your fat, lose your visceral fat, because fat, it literally secretes insulin, and it secretes inflammatory hormones, and it actually keeps putting fat in your bloodstream. So calories in your bloodstream that inhibit your muscles from absorbing sugar, right? It's trying to sabotage you indirectly just by being there. That's why we all need to reduce visceral fat. And weight loss is the single most reliable way to improve insulin sensitivity. And of course, if you're taking drugs to do it, understand that if you don't do resistant exercise, you will lose muscle. And the goal is you do anything to improve your insulin sensitivity, you change your quality of food, and you'll lose weight. And you'll lose fat, especially if you start doing resistance exercise. The target is usually about 15% of your current body weight. And just by adding the above steps that I just described will help you get more insulin sensitive to support you in your weight loss journey. And here's what happens when anyone absorbs sugar in a metabolic environment that can't handle any carbohydrates. You get high insulin and you get high blood sugars. And when your blood sugar spikes, that triggers insulin to spike. And that actually triggers inflammation if it stays sustained over time. But the biggest factor in having sustained weight loss is finding replacements for junkier foods, really upgrading the quality of your food. So as simple as, let's say, if you like chocolate, instead of eating a sugary, junky chocolate, you switch to a dark chocolate that has no added sugar, no artificial sweeteners, right? You still get chocolate, it doesn't taste quite the same, but if you actually froze a date and you put some chocolate on it, you can actually get a pretty good combination. You put a little bit of like a nut in it, maybe a pecan, and then you cover that date with the pecan and the nut. It's a pretty good dessert. It tastes a lot like a Snickers bar, and you've upgraded your quality of food. It's now whole food, right? But, the point is, how do you find whole foods that can replace those junky foods that you once ate? It's not going to be 100% in the texture, and it may not be 100% in the flavor, but it can still satisfy your urge and your cravings until you kind of train yourself to not have those cravings. And it is possible to kick these addictions if you work at it. And the key to working at it is to eat your fruits and vegetables first, because you really want to blunt the drive to eat those foods. That drive is the dopamine. When you think about, sugary junk food, you get happy, kind of giddy about it, right? And then when you eat it, there's a satisfaction that comes right away. And there's another dopamine surge once you swallow that food. So if you start blunting that effect, the easiest way is to eat those whole fruits and vegetables. You blunt actually the stomach effect. So you don't get that second surge of dopamine, right? And when you eat fruits and vegetables, especially the bitter vegetables, it actually coats your tongue and it blunts that dopamine response as well, because usually bitter, sour foods don't make you feel like that. Even though I love fruit, I can only eat so much fruit before I'm so bloated. I don't feel so good after eating like bowls and bowls of fruit. But if you want other ideas, watch the next video.